All right, ladies and gents, and the man back again. What we're working on today is, I guess, putting that coil spring back in this pickup truck so I can get it moved. I guess borrowed the one out of here for my other C10 because it was weak on that side anyway. Still a little weak. Might just have to replace both of them, or it's another issue going on. But anyway, I want to move this truck from where it's at right now, and kind of organize my yard a little bit. So I guess this will be a two in this, one in the same, or a two for one, because I can actually show you how to take this thing out and put it back in. Of course, it's already out, so that's why I'm gonna show you how I did that. And it's fairly simple. You don't have but a couple of bolts you would need to take loose on here. Of course, you're gonna need a hydraulic jack and a couple of tools. But this bolt you can see here is for your this actually here is your upper ball joint, and that's your upper control arm. You're gonna definitely have to disconnect the bolt underneath to get this assembly to do this. Also gonna have to disconnect your shock on the bottom, which is the bolt there, and also that sway bar linkage right there, because you're gonna need this thing to go all the way down as low as possible. The top side is not gonna move. This is moving, but that's irrelevant because the coil spring is actually gonna have to go under here in this cup area, and that's fixed. It doesn't move. This only right here it does is tie this to this right here so you can get that ball joint roll action or whatever. But yeah, disconnect all those. I would do, like I said, one, and then over there two. Once you did that, support with your jack underneath your lower control arm, underneath the bottom, and then you can loosen that nut up right there. Once you loosen that nut up all the way to the end, wouldn't have to necessarily take it off. Leave a thread or two on there when you take it off. That way you can lower your jack down to take the pressure off of your lower control arm, and then you would of course pry or bump or hit with a hammer or something right there, and that'll drop down and rest on your hydraulic jack, and then you can lift up, take a little pressure off the bottom of the lower control arm in this assembly, and then finish taking the bottom nut off and set that. Once you do that, you drop your jack back down, or either, like I said, this part is actually rubberized. It'll move a little bit, but you're still gonna have to jack your jack down. This thing is gonna have to be as low as possible to get that spring in and out of there. So, once you do that, come over here, and then, like I said, see if y'all can see under there, take the pressure off the hydraulic jack, and we've got a little bit more clearance underneath there. Like I said, we're gonna have to get that thing as low as possible. See the jack still going down, so that's about as low as it's gonna go. Oh, got a little bit more. I want to get that jack, so I sit it right there. So once we get situated the way we need to get situated, we don't have to do too much movement. And that rotor, everything is still sitting down on that board, so might be able to get it a little bit lower than that. I have to lift up on that and see. But yeah, it's gonna have to be all the way down. So let's see, this thing is kind of heavy, so not too bad. Let's see if we can guide that, because we're gonna need to go from the backside area. I believe that's as low as we can get it. We'll see for right now, but that's basically it. Once you do that, you're gonna have, if you see a little area in here, you see the spring, the bottom of it stops right along in there. So came out of that side, they're gonna be side specific, because like I said, that spring is gonna have to go a certain way. This one go this way on the other side, go back the other way on the other side. So they're pretty much site specific or whatnot. So it is gonna be a trick to try to wrestle that doohickey in. But the gist of it is, like I said, that's your bottom side. It's gonna be your top side. Like I said, you're gonna stick that up into your cup area, like so, in there. And like you said, you don't have a whole lot of room to work with. So this is the part we finna get busy with. Let's sit right there for a minute, because like I said, we took it out and going back in the same way. But this way you're gonna have to go into some pry bars and stuff like that, because like I said, we're gonna have to move that jack board and get this, like I said, all the way down. And you're gonna have to need that pry bar at times to pry down. You have to find you an area, you know, if it has to be like, caution with this camera to my back with this sun, but as in like right there, or you know, something here, and push down some more, get you some more leverage to get that to go down to help get that in. But that's what I'm about to do. And once I get back and get it put in, we'll show you guys, and then we'll finish buttoning everything back up, and that'll be that. We can get this thing moved and out of our way, so we can, you know, have this little area and have our yard, you know, looking a little bit over this way. So Handyman out of here. Like, subscribe, share. Hope to help you guys out, at least as far as getting it out wise. And you know, as always, like I said, like, subscribe, share, and we'll get back with you here in a minute.